So I think there's been an incredible announcement lately when it comes to their computer, and the reason why I say that is because Dominic Williams, the founder of Dfinity, just dropped such a massive clue. He basically said that cloud engines, they're coming soon, and also on top of that, he talked about something called open software as a service, but he refers to it in the post as open SaaS, but then SaaS stands for software as a service. So I'll get onto this in today's video, and I'll even talk about the price later because there's been a slight recovery lately, so I'll definitely get into that. But I first want to clarify, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, just my opinion, perspective, and nothing I say is financial advice. So let's get into the meat and potatoes first, right? Let's take a look at how Dominic Williams said coming soon with the release of Internet Computer Cloud Engines. This could be so massive in my opinion, just because if we take a look at this, through Cloud Engines, that's Dfinity's answer to be focused on the cloud market. Keep in mind, the cloud market is currently worth around $1 trillion, so it's pretty massive. Not many projects out there seem to be super focused on this, but Dfinity, they're like, you know what, we're going to be focused on it through Cloud Engines. And we've seen the demonstration not too long ago, the demo, so to speak, when it comes to Cloud Engines, but the full-on launch, that's something we haven't seen yet. But apparently, it's coming soon. So I'll take Dominic Williams' word for it as of right now, I suppose. And if they do launch it soon, or should I say if they release it soon, it could be pretty spectacular in my opinion. At least in terms of the morale when it comes to their computer, because the community as of right now, I get it, right? They may not be too happy with the updates and all this because they're like, oh, the price charts aren't really moving, even though there's been a slight recovery, but we've been down for quite a while. So I get the sentiment, but at least fundamentally, it seems like Dfinity is trying to improve by a whole lot. Case in point, they're trying to release Cloud Engines quite soon. Now, if we take a look at it, Dominic Williams talks about open software as a service. Now, from my understanding, basically what this will do is that it's going to give businesses over a dozen ready-made tools that are powered by AI. And it's going to be running fully on chain. So let's just let that sink in. Case in point, let's take a look at this. For instance, even Dfinity themselves claim that cloud engines will come with incredible tools for businesses. In the case of accounting, we take a look at HR, even CRM, and many others. So we got to let that sink in. Through cloud engines and open software as a service, Dfinity, they're really trying to shake things up in a good way, right? Because they're really trying to improve their use case and their fundamentals. So how can I say they're wrong for trying? I mean, at least they are trying. Who knows if they're going to be able to succeed, but they're doing a lot of things in 2026, at least from what I can see. Sure, the recovery has been only almost 2% in the past 24 hours, but this goes far beyond that in terms of what they're doing. Cloud Engines is so anticipated actually by the community when it comes to this. May not be as much as what it would have been if, let's say, they launched it in 2024, 2025, but at the same time, the community that is still sticking around as of right now, they seem pretty excited when it comes to the upcoming launch of that, and so am I, because it's been a kind of a long time coming, right, when it comes to Dfinity, so I think this would be pretty awesome. Let's just think about this. Imagine if they announce all of this back in 2024 or 2025. Like, people would be so enthusiastic, but because it's happening in 2026, the kind of hype for it and kind of the attention is, I guess, somewhat limited. But at the same time, it doesn't change how massive of an accomplishment launching cloud engines would be, right? It also doesn't diminish the fact that the concept of Dominic Williams talking about open software as a service, it still doesn't diminish just how cool that might be, despite the price not being the best. Because for me, the price charts don't influence the way I take a look at the updates and the news when it comes to their computer. When it comes to the price charts, it is the price charts. I can't control that. But when it comes to the fundamentals, that's something I oftentimes like to focus on if the market isn't necessarily doing the best. But with this slight recovery, I think it's a slight breath of fresh air, especially if it could continue, because we've been down for so long. The internet computer is so close to its all-time low. Its all-time low is basically $1.98. So evidently, as seen, we're very close to that. We're just hovering slightly above $2. But at the same time, if we take a look at what cloud engines could be and how that could impact Dfinity moving forward, I think if they do launch that, it goes far beyond a 24-hour or 48-hour price movement. Keep in mind, we're talking about the internet computer here. Just back in November, we're literally talking about less than a year ago, it was at around $9. We're at $2 approximately currently. We're around 4.5 times lower than that. That's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Like, November wasn't even a good time for altcoins last year, but we're around 4.5 times lower than that. $9 isn't even really such a high bar for the internet computer, anyways. Like, we've seen it go far beyond that in the past. So $9 isn't even really anything that special, but we're around over 4 times lower than that, which seems a little bit ridiculous, especially considering how there's Caffeine AI version 3 as of right now, and also how currently there's OEC version 2.5, there's the upcoming launch of Cloud Engines, we take a look at the upcoming launch of Multidex. Again, if we consider all of that, the internet computer, in every measurable metric, fundamentally speaking, is actually better than all the years previous, in my opinion. I really do believe that, just because I think 2026 has been the strongest year for it so far in terms of the fundamentals. But the price charts are not reflecting that, which sometimes gets people a little bit confused, because they're like, whoa, how is this around $2? But then the fundamentals are improving. How does that make sense? But again, when it comes to this space, I just want to clarify. The price charts do not showcase what's going on fundamentally when it comes to the project, especially if, let's say, the market isn't doing the best in a lot of cases that I do see. Just because when it comes to this space, if, let's say, the market isn't doing the best, the price charts are going to go down. Even if the project is developing or launching something fantastic, it's just going to go down anyways. This does not operate like in the case of the stock market, in a sense where if you take a look at stocks, for instance, right? Let's say a business, let's say they launch something very amazing. Let's say their profit margin is looking fantastic. Let's say, they don't have that much debt. What happens? We usually see it be reflected pretty positively when it comes to the price charts. But when it comes to this space, it doesn't work that way. People, as of right now, when it comes to this space, don't really take a look at the fundamentals too much if the market isn't doing the best. But it doesn't mean that it's irrelevant, though, because if the market were to recover, all this stuff right here, like in the case of Cloud Engines, Caffeine AI, we take a look at Multidex, OEC, and all this, that's all the stuff that's going to matter later on if the market were to recover, in a pure hypothetical. It doesn't mean the market will, but if it does, these are the things that people usually care about. So it may not matter right now, but it could matter later. It's like, for instance, let's say, buying some hiking gear. Am I going to use it every day? Probably not, but it's going to matter later on if I want to go on a hike, right? So it's a little bit no different here. When it comes to what's going on in regard to Dfinity, again, the stuff they're doing may not matter too much as of right now, but it could matter later on down the line. But that requires me waiting, but I don't mind waiting. But as long as I see the good fundamentals, as long as I see improvements, I'm not going to complain. We got to think about this. The fact that Dfinity is even looking towards Cloud Engines showcases the kind of foresight that they have, in a sense where many projects out there of their size, they get a little bit complacent. They just don't really care anymore. But when it comes to this, they're not stopping, it seems like, in terms of what they're trying to do. So I get it. When it comes to Dfinity, people like to say, oh, they're not doing anything, but they're actually doing a lot of things behind the scenes. Now, personally, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, I'm still dollar cost averaging once a month, basically. But you know what? That's just kind of my routine anyways. However, nonetheless, seeing what the internet computer could be, especially through the developments that Dfinity is doing, I seem pretty impressed so far, at least as of right now. And again, being so close apparently to the release of Cloud Engines, that's something I'm looking forward to. Now, when will it exactly happen? I have no idea. There is no specified date as of right now, but when Dominic Williams says coming soon, yeah, okay, I'll believe him for now. We'll wait and see though. But yeah, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward when it comes to internet computer. So hopefully, y'all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very wonderful and amazing day.